story is because it's the Patriots, because of Spygate, because of Deflategate. I mean, I get it, but reading more into this, it just feels silly because this was based off a production crew that has nothing to do with the Patriots, with Bill Belichick, or anything. And I was reading this in the Athletic. So what happened was is that a production member of Kraft Football Productions, he got a press pass to the Cleveland Cincinnati game. Cincinnati, they're playing next week. Okay, that's kind of just like, all right, I understand this, but you're going against a 1-12 team, so I'm not going to really get too much into that. But so what happens is he gets the press pass. He interviews the trainer that they're creating up because they're coming up with this new production called "Do Your Job." It's an independently, it's an independent podcast, a visual podcast about some of who does their job around the Patriots organization outside the coaching and all that kind of stuff. And so there is one of the production crew is shooting the Bengals sideline. He shot 8 minutes of it. And then suddenly, one of the representatives for the Bengals is watching this production crew member tape 8 minutes of that sideline, reports it to NFL security, and here we are again. If this was the Buccaneers, the Vikings, the Packers, the Bears, this would be like a slap on the wrist. Let's move on to the next week. It's a silly scandal. I just don't buy into this. Jared Bell of USA Today is like going off and saying, "You're going to lay the penalty down on the Patriots," and I'm like, why? There's no point. I mean, this isn't. We don't know. We don't even know if this is cheating. That's the problem. We don't even know if this is cheating. We don't even know if it was basically the Bengals sideline. Was he doing close-up shots of their little signal callers? Were they doing shots of Zach Taylor calling out a play behind his playbook? I mean, what is all this? And that's the thing too. We don't even have that evidence to prove that this is an issue. And the way that Roger Goodell is focused on this right now, it's basically slap on the wrist. $100,000 fine. Call it good. Next.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When a player, you go in a locker room, and a player doesn't want to go ahead and answer your question, what are the two words he usually uses?
Say again?
You go into a locker room, you want to talk to a player, doesn't want to talk to you. What are the two words he usually uses?
Is it inappropriate for children to hear?
No, very appropriate for anybody to hear.
Well, tell us the two words, because I've only been in a locker room a couple of times, and that was in basketball.
All right, the words are no comment.
No comment, okay.
So you know what I'm going to tell you about this story with the Patriots, okay, before we
Go ahead.
move on to our next subject? Non-story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, on to the Buccaneers below 500.
Love it.
The Buccaneers are below 500 with Jameis interception Winston. How do you like that for a tongue teaser? At 6-7, he's got more. He throws more interceptions than politicians tell lies. Well, maybe not quite that many, but new line for you to hear: more interceptions than politicians tell lies. Yet the Buccaneers are 6-7, and I think the major reason they're even 6-7 is they have a lot of good receivers, and I like Bruce Arians as a coach. We don't know who their signal caller will be next year. But what's your take on the Buccaneers, who, by the way, play the Detroit Lions this weekend?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but they are the most entertaining below 500 team in the NFL. And, it's great. I'm not going to lie to you. I watch NFL primetime. I got ESPN Plus, and Chris Berman and Tom Jackson do the highlights. I get into it when Buccaneer highlights come on because they're entertaining to watch. And the question is that there are both sides of the entertainment, because it's fun to watch the excitement, the highlights, but I also like watching the lowlights. Like, there's a dark part of me that doesn't want Jameis Winston to leave. I actually want him to come back and throw more interceptions so I can watch guys like Darius Leonard run down the field for a touchdown. But the fact is that, look, the Buccaneers are going to be fun for the next couple of years, but they don't need Jameis Winston. They don't need infamous Jameis, okay? He's no longer famous. He's infamous. 26 touchdowns. 23 interceptions. He now has 81 in his career. And Bruce Arians, and give credit to him and Tom Moore, because it was a delight when I got to go be a runner at Fox Sports for the first game of the NFL season for the Buccaneers. They had the 49ers in town. I look over to my left, and there's Tom Moore. And I sat there and went, he's going to work his tail off to make Jameis the best Jameis Winston he can be. That's the best we're going to get. That's it right there. He averaged, going into this season, 15 to 16 interceptions a year. He already has 23. You have Chris Godwin. You got Mike Evans, O.J. Howard, an okay offensive line. But you're trying to tell me that you can't find Godwin across the middle? You can't find Evans, deep ball, left side of the sideline for more than one time? And that's an issue there. So Bruce Arians and Tom Moore had done everything they could think of, and even Harold Goodwin, who's the assistant head coach, as well. They have done everything they could think of to make this offense as good as possible. But you're not going to be with Jameis Winston going forward. You're just not, because their defense is not fixed yet. Yeah, they got the best rush defense in the NFL. That is crazy to me. They have the best rush defense in the NFL. But their pass defense ranked 31st. So they know that there's an issue with this team. And here's another thing, too. Winston is questionable against the Lions. He has a hairline fracture in his thumb of his throwing hand. So he's not going to come out like Brett Favre and play with an injured thumb. It's not like that. Not many players do that. I think only Peyton Manning and Favre did that. I think that was about it. So, I mean, the Buccaneers, they're entertaining, but they give me, it kind of feels like a anticipation for a comic book movie. I'm already counting down the days to Buccaneers season 2020, because then I get to see a good quarterback possibly come in and just go ramshot with these wide receivers, make the running game better, and Bruce Arians could have this team back in the playoffs in the next year or two.
Well, I'll tell you this. Number one, once upon a time, I work with Wayne Fonts. Oh, yes, I love story time, especially with guys like you. Once upon a time, I worked with a coach by the name of Wayne Fonts, okay, when the Lions were relevant, and Barry Sanders was the running back, and they had a lot of great wide receivers, okay? And you know who ran that offense with the Lions? Tom Moore. And let me tell you,
there you go.
That was an exciting brand of football there, Jake. So, yeah, there's no question that Tom Moore, has done the best he can with Winston. And I don't think you've heard the end of Winston maybe at the end of this year, whether it's with the Buccaneers or not. It's anybody's guess. So, I don't know. You're right. They are certainly the most entertaining below 500 team I've ever seen. They do make it real. So, more power to them, But I'll be curious to see what 2020 holds, for sure. Right? So let's talk about some entertainment. What entertainment do you have on your mind?
Well, the entertainment I have on my mind when it comes to it is it's got to be, the debate with sports movies. And I know we talk about Christmas movies, but it kind of got on my nerves a little bit when I went on an Arizona TV station website, and they were talking about the top 5 holiday movies. I sat there for a moment and I went, when was the last time there was a movie talked about during Christmas when it came to sports? So I decided to look at these. And I'm like, okay, the 6 movies I'm about to say, they all have something in common. So here we go. First one, Cool Runnings, Miracle, Rocky IV, Ice Princess, D2 the Mighty Ducks, and Iron Will. All of these have something to do with snow and the cold. So that's a holiday movie? That's when we come to this point? I mean, you can't really call it a holiday movie if it's about winter sports. Because D2 the Mighty Ducks got this one wrong. They didn't play in the cold. They actually were in California during the Junior Olympic Games, whatever Disney wanted to make up at that point, because there's no such thing as it. But that's a story for another time. Iron Will's about dog sledding. Cool Runnings is about the Jamaican bobsled team. Miracle, 1980 U.S. hockey team. Rocky 4. That's when he goes to Russia and fights in the snow. And then Ice Princess is some Disney movie with Michelle Trachtenberg, trying to be the next great ice skater or whatever. If you're going to tell me about a sports movie to watch during the holidays, the only one I could think of is Miracle. Because Miracle, it was played at Lake Placid, New York. The game was Russia, which led to them playing, and everybody keeps forgetting about this, but that was not for the gold. Everybody keeps forgetting about that. That
Right.
game was not for the gold. I believe it was Finland,
Right.
right? That was the one?
Yeah, it was. You're right. You're right on
Finland.
target.
Yeah. But the reason I watch that during the holiday is because it gives me that inspiration. It gives me that family aspect because these guys came out of nowhere. I mean, these guys were playing, a couple were playing for Wisconsin, for the University of Minnesota. They were playing for semi-pro teams. And they came all together with the late Herb Brooks and create this monumental sporting event that nobody saw coming. That, to me, is a holiday sports movie. But I'm not going to sit here and watch Cool Runnings or D2 the Mighty Ducks. D2 the Mighty Ducks? What are you coming up with this kind of stuff? That just gets on my nerves right there with Christmas and sports movies. That's why they don't make sports movies in Christmas time. They center it, like in Miracle, they centered a scene around it, but that was about it. So I just don't understand this. If you're going to watch a football movie, the heck with it. Let's put on all the hockey movies, okay? If you want to do a winter sports holiday film, heck with it. Get Slapshot out there. Get Youngblood, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze. Get out there. Slapshot 2, Goon. Every hockey movie, there. That's your Christmas. That's what you can watch there.
Interesting. All right, here's my take on it. I am partial toward Rocky 4. I'm okay with that one. I really am.
They did play on Christmas. That's true.
Well, I mean, it's, and again, you had a Cold War between the United States and Russia, so it's appropriate. And the snow part. And, I like your idea about Miracle on Ice. Definitely had a good theme to it there. The other ones, anytime you try to associate weather with winter sports, I don't know about that. I think it just depends on the... I don't know. I think it depends on the subject matter and the idea. Again, movie makers overthink things as well, thinking that they're going to go out there and be able to capture the Christmas side. All I'll say about Christmas, the only movies I ever cared about Christmas were the vacation movies and the as well as the Home Alone series. That's what I've always, and since it's that time of the year we're talking about.
Grinch.
But not,
those are the Christmas movies right there.
But not getting off track with sports, because I know you and I have done an incredible job proving that we can go in a lot of different directions, which is why I enjoy the chemistry between us. Rocky 4, to me, is the ultimate hockey movie. And I'll go even a step further with Miracle, because it definitely has that united feeling to it in more ways than one. So you're saying that
Rocky 4 is the ultimate holiday movie, even though it's about boxing at Christmas time?
I don't care about boxing. Boxing is a great sport. It really is. I don't, how many, just because boxing isn't what many people consider one of the four majors, nobody will sit here and give me the argument that boxing, once upon a time, was one of the biggest sports on the planet. Don't think that Muhammad Ali didn't exist. Don't think that Rocky Marciano didn't exist. And the list goes on and on. These are outstanding fighters. So, and anybody wants to sit here and tell me that UFC is, then we got another conversation for another day. UFC is nothing more than a bunch of cockfighting, a Johnny-come-lately sport where boxing has an incredible history of tradition. So just because you're not a top four major sport, boxing tradition is like no other, So, yeah, I would definitely put Rocky 4 at the top of my list. And, Miracle, I guess you could convince me with that one as well. A sports movie. But, full well, all they're trying to do is connect the dots with snow and ice.
Yeah, I get it. But, seriously, if that's the best that you got, come on, let's try something a little bit better here.
I like your theme about the Mighty Ducks being filmed out in Anaheim. Yeah, well,
once upon a time. Yeah. D2 the Mighty Ducks, you could see, actually, the L.A. Coliseum. Wow. Right there, they had the flames going.
Southern
and all
California,
the
brother. It's all the same, man. Southern California. Once upon a time, there was no hockey in California. except for the L.A. Kings and the